I'm Lenny Foster, a professional photographer here in Saint Augustine. I started shooting in 1991. In 1995, I went to Senegal, West Africa, and it was there that I created my first body of work. When I moved to Saint Augustine, I knew nothing of the civil rights history and African American history. So upon discovering these stories and events and historical people that were here, I started to ride around and place shoes in these places representing historical people. I think it's important to tell the stories of the civil rights movement, African American history, one, because they aren't seldom told. From what I understand from a former trolley tour driver, they were encouraged not to really get into the history, the civil rights history and the civil rights protests that happened in Saint Augustine. It may not be appealing to tourists that are coming and looking for a good time. But as we know, what has happened is important to document, share, and also it helps understand what's happening today. So this series, which I call Where We Stand, I wanted to show where we stand, why we sing, why we protest, why we march, why we pray, why we sit in. Such as this location, St. Mary's Missionary Baptist Church, is kind of known as the birthplace of the civil rights movement, because the initial meetings and gatherings before protests, before marches would happen here. And the Reverend Wright, who was the pastor at the time in the 60s, he's known as the father of the civil rights movement in St. Augustine. The image I'm creating here today represents him. I think my work is pretty emotional. I want my imagery to evoke feelings. That's kind of my primary motivator these days, is to have people moved by the work.